Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Ultra Hardware number 35593. This is a typical double-acting spring hinge by Ultra Hardware. The 35593 means a couple of things. It means that it is their 4-inch version and that it's in black. They also have a satin brass version available, which I believe is a 35595 perhaps, and other sizes. 35595 is it's the polished brass version in a 4-inch. Black is very common, typical. The important thing to know about this is that 4-inch refers to, while it refers to a dimensional reference on the hinge itself, which is typically the overall height of the hinge barrel, not including the caps. Less important. I actually don't know why that's important, because the relevance of 4-inch means specifically it's for doors that are 7/8 to 1.25 thick. That's the most important thing to know. Your door must be between those dimensions, 7/8 and 1.25, for this to be the right hinge for you. There is a link below this video to the installation instructions. The backside doesn't really have much that applies to a typical installation, so we're going to skip it all together. There is specifically very little information on the instructions from Ultra Hardware, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but what it's lacking are design criteria that it's been tested to. You don't know what kind of weight limit it will handle or door size it will handle. And based on my judgment and application and experience in the past, if your door is the 7/8 to 1.25 thickness, it can really only be so heavy, is the bottom line. And typically, assuming that these doors are never bigger than 3 foot by 7 foot, and assuming that it's relatively light, 20 or 30 pounds, something in that range, or 40 or 50, 2 hinges are probably going to serve you. If you feel that your door is a little bit heavier than what a standard sort of door might be, order 2 pair of hinges. You might be left with one, and you'll want to install 2 at the top. One at the top, 3 or 4 or 5 inches from the top of the door, then another one 3 or 4 inches, below that top hinge, and then put 1 hinge down at the bottom. These are sold in pairs. You're going to be stuck possibly with an extra one. But the truth of the matter is, if your door is heavy and solid, by all means go with 3 or 2 pair. You'll find that you probably will have to add that additional hinge anyway. Now, when the hinge arrives to you, tension is going to be set on the hinge. I had to remove the tension with the included tension rod. You're going to get this, and then set into here were both of the tension pins. There are 2 tension pins. And they're set right into here to keep the tension on the spring. So when the tension collars are pointed towards the top of the door, you'll turn that clockwise, and as you do so, you reveal new additional holes that you can insert a tension pin. I wouldn't exceed more than about 3 new holes when you're setting the tension on this, and the same applies to both applications, to both barrels, springs inside of there. Okay, you'll stick a pin in there, it holds the tension. You want to remove that to get the hinge installed onto your door and frame. No dimensions are given regarding pre-fit sort of situations. Nothing's really provided on the instruction sheet, except you're going to have to look at this and measure how much of a gap that you're going to need, etc. The instructions do call out that you're going to mortise the door flush to with the edge of the door leaf. Okay, you can certainly do that. Some people surface mount them. Some people mortise them such that even these ears that are turned over are mortised, and that would allow the door to get all the way basically to the jamb. That's unusual, or very close to it anyway. So you could end up mortising it that way. If you're going to mortise it so that it's practically touching the jamb, which you'll want to leave that a little bit shy, your margin on the other side of the door will have to be something in the range of 5/16 of an inch, something like that, depending on the thickness. Because if you've got a square edge door, your door needs to clear that cased opening without striking it. Now, what some people do to compensate to have a tighter margin between the edge of the door and the jamb is they'll radius the door edge over a large round over bit, like an 1.75 inch diameter round over bit, and round over or bull nose both faces of the door on the lock side. A bull nose is like the top row of tile in your bathroom. If you do that on both sides of the door, you've got a radius. So that would allow you a tighter margin, but your door construction may not allow for that. If it's a veneered door, as you radius that over, you will expose the layers of veneer, cross-banding backer. You may not want to do that. So just take all that into account. And by all means, if you have a specific question that you want to discuss, feel free to reach out to us. This video is somewhat generic in the terms of the math and the routing of the door because there are circumstances that aren't called out. There are not guidelines called out from the manufacturer. So I don't want to give you specifics, but I will be more than happy to walk through it with you. So you're going to get the tension rod, 2 tension pins. The instructions do state that you need to have the door in the center of the hinge, or more specifically, centered between the vertical axis of pivoting of the hinges, and that all of your hinges, this vertical axis of pivoting must be maintained. Okay, so looking at the instructions, let's review it. To apply the hinges, it is necessary to release the tension on the springs. Insert the tension adjuster in one of the holes in the tension lug, which I've called the tension collar, which is this tension lug, and turn it so that the tension rivet can be removed. There's only one way you can do that. Happens to be clockwise as the tension lug is pointed towards the top. Apply the hinges near the top and bottom of the door. They're assuming you're installing just 2 hinges. You can put 3 or even 4. Double acting hinge. Fit the door flange into the door so the shoulder at each end of the flange is flush with the surface of the door. The jamb flange is applied to the surface of the door casing, which means the face, the cased opening frame itself. The door must be located midway between the axial centers of the double acting hinge. Okay. General instructions. It is necessary that the hinges be applied on a door in axial alignment with each other. That means your 2 hinges need to be vertically compatible. With the door in the closed position, apply equal tension to the springs by adjusting the tension lug away from the hinge from the edge of the flange, which contacts the tension rivet. Then insert the tension rivet, and the recoil of the spring will contract it against the flange. So what they're saying there is, insert your tension rod. When you turn it and you release it, the tension pin is going to rest against the shoulder of the hinge leaf, regardless of which one you're talking about. If you were to install that so they were down, just reverse, go counterclockwise, obviously. Be sure to turn the tension lug in the correct direction. Turn it towards the left when the hinge is applied with tension lug at the top, and toward the right when it is applied with the tension lug at the bottom. What they're saying is you don't want to turn it, you can insert the tension collar and go the wrong way with it a little bit. You're always going to want this to go clockwise when it's pointed up. It is important to select a size of hinge suitable for the replacements. If they are too small and overloaded, the door will not operate satisfactorily or breakage may occur. So they're kind of assuming that you're replacing existing ones when you buy these, and that certainly is a very common installation. The most important thing is a consideration of your door thickness. If you've got a door that's thicker than 1.25 inches, go to the 5-inch. If you've got a door that's thicker than 1.5 inches, go to the 6-inch. Anything thicker than 1.75 inches begins to be a problem. Now, I've had people take thicker doors and mortise them so they can physically fit inside of this opening. That is certainly not recommended. I happen to know that it's been done. People have done it because they have something exceptionally light, 10 pounds, but it's thick, and they will mortise it that way because the weight of this is truly only that sort of circumstance. However, the truth of the matter is, it's just, you can, as you imagine, as you think about how the hinge will, or the door will work, if you go with something significantly thicker, you've got to make significant, allowance in the face of the door as you're mortising it to get it to fit inside of there. Ultra hardware, screws are included before I run off, in a complementary finish. Ultra Hardware is a full-line importer of many things, builder's hardware related. Not only double-acting spring hinges, which are very common, lock sets, door closers, panic devices, cabinet hardware, hinges. They have a comprehensive offering of grab bars. They also do their most popular single line item that we sell the most of is their plunger style door holder, which is a 36030. It's a door holder you see in retail spaces all the time. Any questions on the Ultra Hardware 35593? Double acting spring hinge, 4-inch size and a black finish, or any other Ultra Hardware product, please feel free to reach out to us.